Welcome Twainiacs to another fascinating lesson on what Mark Twain can learn you about public speaking. Today we talk about A, which is for antidote. A is for anecdote, but it often does surprise me how often people mix up the words antidote and anecdote. Indeed, it has got me thinking that the antidote to a poor speech is a good anecdote. Boom, boom. How bad is that? According to Microsoft Word, the synonyms for anecdote include story, tale, and yarn. And there is not much doubt that Mark Twain was absolutely wonderful at telling stories, tales, and yarns. And we will show you in this lesson how you can add stories, tales, yarns, anecdotes to your speeches to help you to connect better with your audience. Learnings in this lesson include: every experience we have provides potential for a story. Repackage your stories to suit your audience. Combine and develop characters and incidents. People do remember stories better than facts. Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer are magnificent examples of storytelling in book form. But even within those books, Mark Twain has dropped in some insightful, funny, and useful stories to push along his narrative. Twain truly believed in the power of the story. He wrote, "There is this advantage with a story, that whatever moral or valuable thing you put into a speech, it gets diffused, and possibly your audience goes away without finding out what that valuable thing was that you were trying to confer upon it. But dear me, you put the same moral into a story and it becomes the keystone of that story, and you are bound to get it. It flashes, it flames, it is the jewel in the toad's head. You don't overlook that." Now, Mark Twain was obviously incredibly creative. He had a wonderfully vibrant, creative mind. But a lot of the stories and a lot of the characters that he speaks about and writes about were not original creations. They were from his life. Huckleberry Finn, for instance, he identified Huckleberry Finn as a young lad by the name of Tom Blankenship, who lived in the same town, Hannibal, Missouri, as the young Sam Clemens. He said of Tom Blankenship, "I have drawn Tom Blankenship exactly as he was. He was ignorant, unwashed, insufficiently fed, but he had as good a heart as ever any boy had. His liberties were totally unrestricted. He was the only really independent person, boy or man, in the community, and by consequence he was tranquilly and continuously happy and envied by the rest of us. And as his society was forbidden us by our parents, the prohibition trebled and quadrupled its value, and therefore we sought and got more of his society than any other boys." If you're familiar with Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, you can identify that kind of characterization in both of those characters. Tom Sawyer was another wonderfully creative, fun, ebullient character, and Twain suggests that Tom Sawyer was a combination of three characters that he knew when he was growing up. There's also some suggestion that the name Tom Sawyer was the name of a fireman that he knew when he was in his early reporter and cub days, but that he just took the name to identify the amalgamation of the three characters. The basic point is that one of the most successful and creative writers and speech makers ever took most of his material from his history. And you can do exactly the same thing. We'll explore that in Lesson A, Anecdote, in what Mark Twain can learn you about public speaking. Okay?